Hey, what's up guys? So in this week's episode of 5-Minute Fridays, I want to talk about a question I got here on YouTube asking how often you need to update your laser jammers. And on the surface, it's a pretty simple question. It's just like, well, whenever there's an update available, you update. And the update times can vary. If you look at something like an ALP, they release an update maybe every couple months. If you look at something like the TMG, it's a newer product, and so there's a lot more updates coming as they build and develop the platform. With the escorts, there were some updates initially, but then there haven't been in a while. I know things like the Auto JTK feature we've been waiting on. We're still waiting on that, so pretty much whenever there's an update, if the product is still supported, some of them like Blinder HP905 and Laser Interceptor, the products are pretty much kind of abandoned at this point. They're no longer being supported, and I'll talk about kind of why that is here in just a second. If there's no more updates, and there haven't been for years, then, well, there's no updates to apply. And so let's talk about maybe not only how you update, well, I guess not how you update, but when you update and why. There's a couple reasons you would want to update. It would be things like in case they find bugs and they want to fix the bugs. Sometimes they want to add new features, and perhaps the most important thing is going to be support for new guns. When the whole thing with laser jammers is they need to, well, know how the laser gun works to a certain extent so that they know how to respond to it and return fire to jam that specific gun. If we take a look, for example, some of the older kind of last generation jammers, Blinder HP905 and Laser Interceptor, for example, they used a technique called lookup tables, and the idea was they knew exactly how the laser gun was going to fire. It transmits, 100 pulses per second or 200 pulses per second or whatever the, periodic pulse rate is. It's a very predictable pattern, and it just looks up and it says, I see this pattern, I'm going to return this type of laser jamming sequence, and then I can jam this gun. So it just looks up what the technique is, the algorithm to jam this particular gun. Then some laser gun manufacturers said, well, hey, they're just predicting, they can tell when the next pulse is going to come. What if I start doing random pulse rates, variable pulse rates? I'll set up the guns in such a way where the laser jammer can't easily or at all predict when the next pulse is going to be coming, and if I do that, then it doesn't know when to return the jamming pulses, and I'm going to be able to defeat the laser jammer. And there's been different stages of evolution of randomness and difficulty in the way the laser gun manufacturers are doing this, and this is actually one of the reasons why some of the older laser jammers are no longer able to handle the newest laser guns, is they don't, with lookup tables, they can't just look up the pattern if it's going to be completely random, And so the newer laser jammers have to do more sophisticated kind of recognition and monitoring techniques with saying, what is the laser gun doing in real time, and how can I dynamically adjust what I'm doing in real time while I'm watching what the laser gun is doing too. So it needs much more sophisticated ways of jamming the laser guns. And this is actually why you'll see the newer laser jammers, they've got more advanced techniques, and older jammers based on older hardware, they don't have the capacity to do kind of the newer jamming algorithms that are required. They don't have the processing power, the memory. There was even, I remember the Laser Interceptor, they were kind of working with some of the basic VPR guns, and they were trying to build in with their lookup tables basic ways of jamming some of the early variable pulse rate guns, and it would kind of overload the system to the point where it was trying to jam, and you would hear these kind of croaky sounds from the jammer actually getting overloaded and just unable to handle these more intense algorithms that are needed for jamming. So in short, there was a point where we actually needed a hardware change, and this kind of stinks because a software update is super easy. You just download an update on the internet, plug it into your jammer or do it through your phone, and bam, now it's got support for the latest guns. But if you've got to swap out hardware, I mean, not only do you have to buy a new system, but then you've got to uninstall the old system and install the new one, run new cables, potentially drill new holes in your car. It's kind of a pain in the butt, to have to do a hardware update. Software updates are much easier, and so ideally we can do everything through software. But there are times when a hardware update is necessary, ideally not very often, but it's kind of like anything else. Eventually you need a new card with new technology, or a new cell phone, or a new computer. Like tech stuff, eventually you do have to go and get a hardware update, but along the way you can get by with software updates. ALP has had a hardware update. They've done some things to change, like the connectors and stuff, but one thing as far as jamming, they've added the new TX sensor a couple years ago, which helped improve the Dragon Eye jamming capabilities. It just helped the heads do different things, improve the transmission power, that kind of stuff. So there were some changes that they made to hardware where we could do it off of the existing platform. We just added a new type of head, which was really cool. So currently what we're seeing is the current hardware, it's able to jam all the different guns on the market. They just kind of have to stay up to date as far as the way laser gun manufacturers are changing the way they're implementing their anti-jamming techniques, and then the laser jammers, kind of tongue twister, like laser gun, laser jammer, laser pulse pattern, all this stuff. The laser jammer manufacturers then have to update their jamming algorithms to be able to adequately respond to the new laser guns on the market. And so whenever there's an update released, and again, it can vary depending on the manufacturer and what's going on. A lot of these guys, they're acquiring the guns and they're monitoring what the manufacturers are doing or whatever. There's different things, again, cat and mouse game, just to make sure that, staying ahead of the curve and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, long story short, whenever there's an update, it's generally recommended to go ahead and update to keep yourself protected against the latest guns available on the market. You may or may not even have those guns in your area, but it's definitely nice to have your jammer up to date to be able to handle anything that could potentially be out there and then shot against you. So yeah, that's kind of the story as far as laser jammer updates, why, and then also how often. So pretty much whenever they're available, update accordingly. And then you can always check on the website, or if you're on the forums, people will post, or if you've got something like an ALP and you're running the app, it'll actually check for updates and automatically download and apply them for you. So, just stay on top of them and you should be good to go. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have found this helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.